Hi guys, we are live. Hello again for another episode. Dito sa Cats of Puts and Boots Facebook page. Now we have again our resident vet, Doc Maying.
Hi, good evening. Nice to be back and to discuss some things with you.
Yes. Hold on. Okay, so today we'll be doing a book review. So as promised last session, so last FB Live. So today, we will be talking about the Pet Psychic book by Sonya Fitzpatrick. Okay? Um, okay, so we're just waiting for Doc. Maybe we can give time for others to join to hop in our Facebook Live. While we do that, let me share the link, or you can also do that as well, Doc. We can share the link to your friends, so they can also watch you um, do this book review by the book of Sonya Fitzpatrick. Okay, so just go to the hindi pala. It's a Wi-Fi. So guys, if you'll notice, we are at a new location. Ito yung aming bagong office. Joke lang. No, just joking. This is our brother's home or their house. Wala pa siya. Nag-invade ka. Okay. So mapansin nyo, I forgot the prints pala ng mga dapat dito ko siya. So para bago lang na ano.
Yeah, new ambience, kumbaga. Yes.
So, Doc.
Hindi ako naka-online kasi
Okay. Okay lang,
kunin
Doc.
mo yun, kunin mo yun. Log in or FB Live. So we're doing so. We will be posting the link.
During the session, guys, while Doc May is talking about the book, maybe you can share also experiences about probably similar experiences that she'll mention in this review. Share it in the comments.
Na-post mo na dun sa page.
Yep. So I'll share in your as well. Are you connected in Messenger?
Mm.
There. Yeah. Okay. So I shared. I'm hoping my friends will join us today. All right. Perfect. Awesome. All right, guys. Kamusta kayo dyan? So medyo rainy yung araw na to. So it started raining here in Batangas. I think since yesterday. Kumusta naman dyan sa mga lugar nyo, guys? Mainit pa rin ba? All right. Can you hear our Micah and B-Boy speaking? Okay. Yeah. Okay na daw?
Okay. Sige, so we can start. Okay,
Yep.
we have our friend, Miss Yai.
Hey sis, Miss Yai. Hello,
Hi.
kumusta? Thanks for joining. So today we're talking about the Pet Psychic book. So this will be a book review by our resident vet, Doc Maying. So she'll be sharing information, or she'll be reviewing the book of Sonya Fitzpatrick, the Pet Psychic, celebrity pet psychic. I was actually watching some videos in YouTube earlier. Nakakatuwa kasi parang nababasa niya talaga or nakakausap niya talaga yung mga animals na namimit niya. No, you put that down kasi maririnig.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shall we start?
Yes.
Okay, so for this session, this is actually a special session because it's not the typical format of Q&A. We have a book that I want to share to you, and we're going to discuss some of the contents of the book. So we will not go through each of the chapters like from cover to cover because that's mainly, you wouldn't want to read the book now because I basically gave all the details already. But yeah, hopefully, I will give you some of the insights that I got from the book, and if ever you have chance upon the book, then you would be enticed to read it as well. Okay, so for this session, I would like to speak in English, hoping that the author of the book, Miss Sonya Fitzpatrick, will be able to watch this special session as well. And I hope to communicate with her in the future because she's really a wonderful, wonderful person.
Yeah.
Okay? So this is the cover of the book. Okay, how do I do the angling? Yeah, paano? Like that. Okay, can you do the honors, please?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so Sonya Fitzpatrick is a British animal communicator. So she's now 79 years old, and she's the first and the oldest and the most famous animal communicator in the whole world. So she is also now dubbed as the celebrity animal communicator. So she's basically a pet psychic, and she uses mental telepathy to talk to or communicate to animals. So I know that this page is basically for cats, but this book is general for all animals involved. So it has a chapter on wild animals. It also has a chapter on domestic animals, but mainly it revolves on dogs and cats. And I will particularly mention some of the chapters on cats. Okay. So more about Sonya Fitzpatrick. So she now resides in the United States, but she was born in England, and she's been doing this work for quite a while. And there are actually several videos that you can check online. She used to be a host of Animal Planet many years ago, and I've seen some of these shows, you know. But even right now, I mean, she has this radio show, and it's a call on show. It's like you call and you tell her about your pet if you have any issues, and then she will communicate to your pet to resolve any of your household issues. And it varies, no? And in the book, she shares so many her memorable cases, and most are really funny. So the book is light to read. I read this book. Let me go to the first part. Okay, I had this book last 2006. You see here. So whenever I have a book, I put a stamp on it, the date that I got it. So it could be like I bought it or someone gave it to me. Okay, so it's like for 13 years now. So the first time I read this book was about that time, and I reread it again for so that I can have a good review of this book for you guys. And I reread it a few days back, and it was not continuous, but I was able to finish it in 3 days. So, but I like reading books. So maybe if you're not used to reading books this time, so it may take a while. But this is not a technical book, so it's light, it's very friendly, and I find like some chapters are really funny, and you will laugh on stories that she shared on this book. Okay, so this is the first of three books. Her second book is on dogs. She focused on dogs, and the third book focused on cats. And like I said earlier, she has several videos as well. You can look it on YouTube. And she has a website, www.sonyafitzpatrick.com. And I said earlier as well that she's a celebrity pet psychic. So she communicated with several of the pets in US celebrities. Okay, so I saw one that she did with Mandy. I think, okay, let me scratch that because I'm not so sure if she really did the pet of Mandy Moore, because Mandy Moore didn't mention her name. But she had pictures and worked with pets of Ellen DeGeneres. And there's also a video that she did the pet of Ryan Seacrest and Kelly on their show, and many others. Okay, and you see here, it has 12 chapters. Okay, 12 chapters. So the first chapter mainly tells the story of her childhood. So she started really learning about this special gift when she was just 4 years old. And she has this, originally we call it disability. Let me coin that like this, disability. But now we say it as differently abled. So she's deaf, okay? So in the first session, I have mentioned that because there was a question about a disabled cat that's blind, that's totally blind. So the question raised was, how will the management be for a totally blind cat? And I said that there would be like slight changes, but the cat, the special cat, would not know that she's missing something, okay, in her physical body or in anything. So anyway, so she's deaf, and she said in her book that it was a little later. I think she was about 10 years old or 11 years old when the doctors really realized that she was deaf. And that's one principle that I said in medicine, that you have this compensatory hypertrophy, or when something is missing, the other one would try to compensate on the function of the missing part. So when now, because she's deaf, so it could be that she's communicating in another way, and that is through mental telepathy. So and I kind of empathize with her because she said in the book that she likes communicating with animals more than humans. And that's one reason why I became a veterinarian as compared to being a human doctor, because I like being with animals more. I like communicating. Well, I'm not an animal communicator, but what I mean is like I feel more comfortable being with animals rather than working with humans. So that's why I chose to be an animal doctor. So she that's what her experience is. So when she was still small, okay, she would talk to all the animals in her village in I can't remember the special place, but that was in England because she was born there. And she would know the gossips of the village, like, like neighborhood, like, and her family would be surprised how come she knows this. And when she would tell her parents that, oh, the animals told me, like, oh, the local horse told me that there's something, and let's say there's a family dispute, and because the pets, they're very talkative. Most of what she told in her book, that they're really happy sharing about the stories of the family. So she would really know the gossips, not even the funny stories about the family. And so that's how she knew. And her parents were not really believing her, because how come she knew this really like sensitive secrets of families that only adults would know, and she was just 4 years old. And and her family would not believe her, especially her parents, and they would say like, oh stop it, you're just making things up. But actually it's true. And if you really see her videos, it's amazing. I mean, her work is really amazing, and she solves so many problems about pets. And I just really like her a lot. Anyway, we go back to the book. I'm just so excited. Anyway, so the second chapter was she gave some stories. The title name of the chapter is Animals Tell the Best Gossip. So she told some stories about the gossips that she would hear coming from the village animals. So that's what I said earlier. Number 3, human emotion. So she has a subtitle, Your Pets Know Just How You Feel. So this is true. She said some experiences. Being an animal communicator, she would also feel how the animals would feel. So she has several cases that the veterinarians will not be able to solve because of the typical diagnostic test, but she would be able to diagnose. So, but she's not saying that don't go to the veterinarians, go to me instead. She's saying you have to go to the veterinarians. It's just that sometimes I can help. And she would say, I cannot solve all the problems. I cannot solve all the animals, but I can help. I will try to help to understand the pets that are troubled, be it when they're sick or when they're having these behavior problems, and try to help the owner or the pet parent solve it out with the pet by doing the communication. And actually, she's saying all over the book that if we can just communicate with everyone better, like animals to animals, animals to humans, humans to humans, then no wars should happen. I mean, it's all about communicating better, communicating properly, and loving everybody, like loving every creature that we have here. Because it's just it. I mean, if you love everybody, you have this compassion for everything, for everybody, and then there will be no war. Okay, going back. Um, so we're going to chapter 3, yeah, human emotions. So it starts with what I said earlier. She can feel. Okay, if the like a particular dog, or like let's say cat, because this is a cat a cat group. Okay, so let's say a cat is sick in the stomach. Okay, and then she would feel pain in her stomach, and it's just amazing because it's really true. So I'm a true believer of her craft. It's really a gift from God, and she would tell it that it was really given to her by God, and she was visited by Saint Francis. So I would suppose she's Catholic, but she didn't really say it outright that she's Catholic. But uh, going through her how she relays her life and her beliefs, I would say she's Catholic. So because she's telling something about angels and then the saints. So and but I'm not so sure because she's from England. So maybe Orthodox, or because I'm not very familiar with the Orthodox religion, if they do have saints, but I would suppose so. But a little different with what the Catholics have. So she would feel, so that helps in the diagnosis. And then aside from that, on the other side of the story, the animals would feel how we feel. Okay. And sometimes, and actually it's always, she uses the energy of the owners or the parents to communicate with the pets, okay, in trouble. So what's amazing is when she communicates with animals, it doesn't have to be face to face. So sometimes they just talk over the phone, or they communicate through Skype, or she's just looking at a picture and she would already be able to communicate with the pet and tell the owner what's the problem, whatever she likes, whatever is needed to solve the problem. Anyway, and that's really amazing. So basically she has mastered her craft, her gift. This way she's able to do that. Okay. So again, going back. So for the emotions, so I can attest to that. We actually have a post in our page about the mission of a cat. You remember? I think that's the title, the mission of a cat. So there are two
Yeah,
missions
I
that I can
remember.
remember. So that's posted in our page. One of the mission is the our cat would know when we're sad or when we're sick, and then they take in the energy, and then
Yeah.
they heal themselves by sleeping. Okay, and when we're sad, and based on my experience as well, when we're sad, so they know when we're sad, when we're troubled, when we're panicking, whatever emotions we're feeling. Okay, they adjust to it. So if we are very sad, then they try to sleep on our, comfort us, things that would help us cope up in our current situation. And that's really true. So I have, and in my, so let me share. In my previous work, I was a staying veterinarian in a cattle farm. It's big. And I did a managerial job, and it's very, very stressful. So I have my cats there, and that they are my stress relievers. And without them, I really believe that I would not last that long in that job because, and she said that in this book, there's some part there that every lunchtime, I have to go home in our staff house so I can cuddle my cats, and then all my worries will go away. And she said that particularly, like, if you're stressed out, you just go home, you hug your cats, and then you just feel okay right there and then. So it's amazing how my feelings, my experience was attested by a professional. And so then it's valid, so it's true. Okay. And aside from that, if you're skeptic still, she mentioned a few studies that really validate some of uh, the some of the advantages of getting cats, of having pets in general. Okay, like it really lowers the blood pressure, and you will live longer, like for 10 years more, if you own pets. Okay, because like I said, it lowers the blood pressure, so then it lowers the risk. So she mentioned later, it was a later chapter in this book. it's a study, if I'm not mistaken, from two notable universities in this book. So, and it validates. So then, so okay, that's the end. So I will not reveal more of that. So next we have chapter 4, No Bad Pets. Other behavioral problems. So in this chapter, she mentioned several cases that she had, and empathize, or like you can relate. Okay, you can relate because some of which are like the common incidents. When our cats have the cat litter box and then suddenly they would not use the litter box and then soil the carpet or like wherever in the house but not the litter box. So I was telling this to my if you have to move, that's I think one of the top reasons why behave, because when you do a major decision in your life, like moving to another place or taking a job that you have to migrate wherever, and you do not talk to your pets, you do not talk to your cats, and moving is very critical to cats because they get so attached with their old home. Not like dogs, okay? And dogs, you can leash them up, etc. And once again, I have this experience. This is a very, very sad experience because when I left my farm job, I had to move my cats. So I relocated them in our hometown, and then my cat, her name is Ginger, and she was being bullied by some of the other cats, and I decided to take her with me in here in Batangas. But no, the complication that had happened was after she arrived here, accidentally she was released by our helper, and in a new place, of course, they're very confused, they're distracted, they're all of their landmarks are not familiar anymore. The smell is weird, everything. So they're panicking, they're scared, they're nervous. And then so with all the unfamiliar environment, I lost her. And that's a very, very, very sad story. And I have not seen her up to now. That happened about like 4 years ago. And that's really devastating. And so she has practical tips here on how to prevent losing your pets. Okay? And moving is very, very critical. And she also has some stories about cats being lost because of moving, because they like coming to boxes. And then when there's a mover, especially in the United States, they hire a mover and they have these huge boxes. And the cat would go into the box. So not necessarily the mover, but for example, you have a carpet service, you hired, and then they came in with a big truck, and then of course they have boxes. So the cats would be very curious to come in one of those boxes, and then they get shipped wherever, and then so they get lost. Okay, so she has a few success stories that she was able to reunite the cat with the parents, but she said that's really unusual, that's really rare. So again, same as with disease, we really prefer prevention than cure. So she gave practical tips on how to prevent those from happening. Okay, so particularly with cats, when you're about to move, they need to be in your new place, inside your house, with your familiar scents, with your scent, for at least 2 weeks, okay? Before you can really release them to explore the other parts of the house, and then a little bit more before you let them really explore the rest of what's outside, okay? The the trick with cats, because they are not leashed. No, it's rarely do you see cats that are leashed, because only you see the dogs that are leashed. So they're a little more easier to manage in terms of controlling where they go to. So with cats, they're really mobile. They can jump the fences. So we really have to be careful to keep them inside so that we do not lose them. Okay. So more on the bad habits. So she said here that there are really no like bad pets. It's just like we have some misunderstanding. And like I said earlier, if you're gonna have a big decision in your life, you're gonna make a big decision in your life, you have to include them. Okay, I read in another book, and I read it like I think also when I was still a student, so that was like 12 years ago. It was actually a conservation book about zoos, but there was an experiment there, and they signified basically the results of the experiment says that animals are equivalent to 2 to 3 year old human toddlers. They cannot speak yet. Okay, some of them cannot speak yet. And the attitude is more like they want your full attention. So basically, if you have pets, so if you have cats, treat them as your children. And same as when you handle your children, if you're gonna make a big decision, you need to consider your children, right? Like where they're going to have to go to go to school in the new place and whatever. Will the logistics be okay and stuff like that? Will the food be okay, etc., etc.? Will the culture be okay? So it's everything is consideration is it's as if you have your own children. Okay, so she emphasized several times in the book that if you cannot afford to provide this whatever needed to have your pet, like the food, medicine, vaccinations, the proper place, enough shelter, warmth, whatever, then rather not get a pet. Okay, so because it's treat it as your own child. Okay, so with special care, and you have to give your full attention. So she has this story that there's this one friend of hers that has two cats, and one was like the chiller type that would not really care less. I mean, if you don't spend much time with him, I'm not so sure if it's a him or a her, but I think it's a him. So, and there's this another cat who was really demanding so much attention, and he communicated with Sonya, and he told Sonya to tell the parent that I want your full attention every day. I want to talk to you face to face. Like the cat was so demanding. And it could be like that. I mean, because there could be two personalities of cats that, that chill like, that you can like leave them there and they can just sleep all day long for as long as they have their food, they have their water, and then they have this good bed, etc. But you can also have a cat who would really want to spend their time with you and would really want you to be home early like usual, etc. And like a child again, someone who would want to sleep with you in your bed and all these things that you would do with your child. Okay, so what else? So basically, if you have this soiling accident, um, it's usually resolved if you really look into the changes in your household days before. So it's as simple as sometimes moving the the dish, or like their basin, or like their food bowl. Yeah, your food bowl. So it may be as simple as that, and it's funny because in the book she would tell stories like she the cat liked having, for example, having her bed by the window, and it was moved to being by the door. So it's as simple as that, and the animals act out already. So for pets in general, for animals, well, for pets, okay, because they're the domesticated ones that we have in our homes, they act out. So whether if it's bad or it's usually bad, of course, if they act out. So they do not. It doesn't matter to them if what they're doing is bad. What's important is they will get your attention. Okay?
Mm.
So no matter what it takes, for as long as I get the attention of my pet parent, then I will do it. So that's when the problem sets in. They will chew in the furnitures, they will chew on the shoes, they will pee and poo everywhere to get your attention. And this is how they communicate to you that there's something wrong. I'm upset over something. And it's your job to investigate what went wrong a few days before. Okay, like, and it could be also if they're not going along with some of your pets. That was mentioned in our session one. If you have a multi household pet, and there is a technique for that, and you have to carefully introduce your newcomer with your old household pets, your former resident household, your existing household pets, so that you won't have any problems. Okay, so there's a technique for that. But anyway, sometimes they do not get along, and so they hiss, they fight, etc., and you get stressed, and then you investigate again, and so try to resolve it. Okay, so in a nutshell, there are no bad pets. You have to investigate what happened days before, so at least you can put things back to what they were, and try to observe your pet. And sometimes I think it's trial and error as well until you get it right. Okay, but for some cases, like for UK and the United States, they're very lucky to have animal communicators like Sonya Fitzpatrick, and then they can contact her. Okay, so to solve those problems for them. Okay, let's go to the next chapter. We have chapter 5.
But maybe we can greet some of the
Yes, yes.
viewers before you go to the next chapter. So we have also some comments here, Doc, about the topic. So Ian said earlier, St. Francis inspired me to be a vet student. So,
Oh, by the way, Ian, hi. Thank you for logging in. He's my student. He's my current student. Yes.
hi
He's my
Ian,
current
thanks for
student.
joining. Okay. Um, and we also have Carlo joining. Thank you for hopping in. We have Chris also joining.
Hi, Chris.
We have um Gemma, and also we have Abigail. So thank you guys for joining.
Hi, hi, hi.
That's it.
Okay. So, the fifth chapter is connected to the fourth chapter. The title is Litterbox Blues. So, I already spilled the beans on that earlier. So, let's move on. When number 6 is when Whiskey met Sally. So this would be the problems of introducing new members of the family to your existing ones. Okay, so I have she mentioned something about this too. If you have a new baby, and then you have to introduce the new baby to your pets, okay, to your cats in your house, so that there will be no problems, okay? So like I said earlier, pets, cats, you consider them as children, and they act out when there's another one that's getting all the attention suddenly away from them. So they will establish this jealousy over the new baby that you have introduced in your household. So it's really good that when you're pregnant, you have to already slowly introduce that there will be a baby soon. So you let your cat pet your tummy. You let the cat get used to the sounds. So she actually mentioned in her book that it would be wise to record a baby crying and you play it out in
Mm.
your household even before the baby really comes out. So the cat would get used to the sounds and would not have these soiling problems or whatever chewing problems that you might have in the future. Okay, so it's really nice to introduce it slowly. Aside from that, one of the practical tips that she said was once you have the baby and the baby's still in the hospital, you get a clothing of the baby. Of course, it has its scent, and then you bring it home, and then you let your cat smell it, okay, sniff it, so it gets the scent of the baby. So when it gets home, then it will already be accustomed to the new scent. Okay, and then uh, basically that's it, how introducing. She emphasized quite a few times in her book as well that having like toddlers have kittens or like small cats is not a good combination. It's usually dangerous for kittens to be around toddlers because they do not know what to do yet. The toddlers, they would pull the cat, they would punch the cat, they would squeeze the cat, and that would be painful for the kitten. Okay, specifically for the kitten, it will be dangerous for the kitten. So she would oppose having that combination. If you want to have an addition, a cat in your household, and you have a small human, a toddler, it would be wise to have an old cat. So the old cat would be tolerant of your toddler, and then the cat would not be as fragile. But then again, you have to be careful because the toddler may squeeze the cat, and then, of course, the cat will fight back out of self defense and might scratch your kid. So basically, if you really want to have a cat and you have a toddler, you have to supervise your toddler all the time when you have the cat. So at least you don't have that problem. Because there may be cases that there will be accidents and then they blame the cat. I mean, the cat is a cat. It's an animal. I mean, if you attack it will defend itself. So, but of course, you have certain cats that would be tolerant for such rowdiness, but that may be exceptional ones. So just be very careful. Do not leave your toddlers with your cats unattended or unsupervised, and that's just really a wise parent tip. Okay, so Ah, then shall we go to the next chapter? So we have new viewers coming in. Thank
Ate
you.
Star.
Hi, Ate Star, she's our cousin. And we have our next chapter. That's chapter number 7, Sony's pet schedule. Okay. So Sony here, Sony. Actually, it's not Sony. Sorry, it's Sunny. It's Sunny. It's double N. So it's Sunny. So Sunny is actually a horse. So let me skip that. But basically, the gist of the chapter is this particular pet wants to stick to his schedule. Okay, and there's also one thing. This also happened with Mandy Moore. I like Mandy Moore actually as a star and as a singer. I like her in my time when I was still younger. Anyway, so Mandy Moore had this case as well. You can look it up, and she was a guest in Ellen DeGeneres where she shared this story. She had 2 cats, and she's having problems with the cats because they were acting out. And then she said that she contacted an animal communicator and advised her that she was calling the wrong names for the cats. And then the cat said, I want to be called this name. And that name was actually Fig, for like Figaro. So you can look it up. And she said, when they started to call the cat Fig, like instantly, everything changed. Everything went back to normal. No more problems. And that's really amazing. So it's weird, it's funny that animals also have name preferences. And sometimes they usually stick with the first name that they had. because some of the animals also mentioned in the book was rescue animals. So when you deal with rescue animals, they're usually the traumatized ones. They really have a bad past, and they usually have a bad start with their new homes. So they're panicky, they're always nervous, etc. So you really have to be more patient with them, and you have to reassure them that you love them, and they have this sense of feeling that their stay in your home may not be permanent, and that they may be given away again, and or that they may, whatever reason, lose that comforting home again. So you have to reassure them that it will be permanent. I will not give you away. I will not leave, etc., etc. So that they will give you their trust, and that's also another uh, virtue that we have to build with the animals. Aside from the first one I said was love, now is the trust. We have to gain their trust, and then once they're comfortable with your presence, with your you taking care of them, with your household, then they really try to settle in. And it's just sad when you usually when you deal with rescue animals, they really have numerous bad pasts when they got cruel treatment from previous owners. And so in relation to that, about Sunny's proper schedule, so they stick to the first name. So even if it was a traumatic past, they stick to the first name. So sometimes when you give them a second name or whichever nth name, they prefer going back. And so that's what basically that's one of the reasons why they act out. So it was mentioned in this book. Okay. So what I also like about Sonya, she's a very, very good advocate of ad, adopt, don't shop. Okay, so she has worked with several organizations that really rescue animals, abandoned animals of all forms. So not only dogs and cats, but also like ponies and like even wildlife or etc. So she said that in the later part of her book, she said that please care, please help, please volunteer, please be involved. There's this one line that struck me. She said, um, be part of the solution and not add more to the problem. And that's really striking. That's really striking. I mean, in your own simple way, you can make a difference. So even just my sister would usually have cat food in her car, and whenever she goes to a place and she sees like stray cats, and of course these stray cats, you wouldn't know that when was their last meal. So I think she has this nibbles in her car, and then she would give them this food and then this water. So that already means a lot to the stray cats. Okay, so going back, okay, what else? Oh, okay, so that's chapter 7. So let's go to chapter 8. So
Before that, Doc,
okay,
we have a new joiner. We have Frances. Thanks for joining. And then she also had a comment. My cats' names are Ishi and Flingy.
Hi,
So
Ishi and Flingy.
he commented that during when you were talking about the cat who was complaining about the name.
Oh yeah,
Mandy's
Mandy Moore's
Mandy
cats.
Moore's
Mandy Moore's
story.
cats.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, Ishi and Flingy. I hope they're also watching. Okay, so let's proceed. The chapter
Awesome
8
names.
is For the Love of Animals. Subtitle is How to Be a Responsible Pet Parent. So Sonya is an advocate of spay and neuter. Okay, and actually, so let us plug in our next session will be about neuter, and release. The
Yes,
TNR,
TNR.
TNR
TNR
program.
program.
So what's it about? Who's doing it? Where it's being done, etc., etc. What you can do to help, and where you want, where do you need to go if you want to do it in your community. So a lot of organizations are also already organized to conduct such programs in your local community. You just have to get in touch with them, etc., etc. So you will get more of those details in your next session. And
Yeah.
of course, you can post questions about, the positive pros and cons of TNR, if there's any cons, etc., etc. Okay. So how to be a responsible pet parent? Many things. Okay, so I started off with spay neuter. So she mentioned here, like, if there's this estimate, okay, there's this estimate done by a study that if you do not neuter your cat, it can produce 67,000 kittens. I cannot remember the span of time, no, that it mentioned in the book, but I think it was in her lifetime, in her productive lifetime, she can produce 67,000 kittens. Um, so that's a lot. Okay, so that's a lot. So we can minimize that population. We don't want any overpopulation because we don't want starving stray cats. So to minimize that, then we really want to spay them. So validating what I said in an earlier session, she also said in this book that it would be better to spay and neuter your cats before they reach maturity, or upon maturity but not being pregnant yet. Okay, there was this, she mentioned a case in her book that some parents would think, especially the parents, the human parents, would think that, oh, I want my cat to have at least one pregnancy so she would know the feeling of being pregnant and having babies. So Sonya said that most pets would rather not be pregnant and have uh, kittens. They don't want to undergo that stressful process. So it's like humanizing, what the word anthropomizing. I cannot remember the proper term, but it's humans putting what we feel to animals, but it's not necessarily correct. So the pet parent was thinking that maybe my cat would want to be pregnant, at least to have experience of being a mother, just like me. But honestly, they would rather not.
Oh.
So validating, again, let me repeat, validating what I said in the earlier session, it's better to have your cats neutered before they even have a pregnancy. Okay, but I mentioned there, it's more of a medical reason. It lowers the risk of having cancer of the uterus, especially for dogs. No, if they do not experience, no, being in sexual maturity first or being pregnant. Okay, before you had them spayed. Okay. So, and what's next? Okay, it's also responsibility of the pet parent to have their cats, of course, have the routine, deworming, vaccination, annual checkups, and as mentioned earlier session, dental care as well. Okay, so I will not dwell more of this because this was mentioned from earlier session. Okay, so now we're going to the more exciting chapters. Next is chapter 9, entitled Healing with the Angels. So aside from being an animal communicator, Sonya is an animal healer. Like what? Yes, she can heal. Okay, so, and what she's doing is psychic healing. Okay, for medical person like me, I find it a little skeptic because she's saying like, there's this, I believe that everything in this world is energy, and then she's healing with energy. She's feeling what's happening in the pet through energy, and she is reading the minds through energy, through mental telepathy. But it's difficult for me to really embrace how she describes how it's possible for her to heal. So I will hanging hang it out there. I hang it on there. I will not give more details about that. So at least you have something to look forward to if yeah when you read this book. So, but yes, she does heals, and she has cases here that she was able to heal. But she said that she cannot heal every case. Okay, and there would be really fatal cases that she cannot really do about, but help the pet more relieve of the pain and help them pass over, and also help the parent understand and accept the situation. Okay, and then number 10, chapter number 10, entitled Where, Oh Where Has My Little Dog Gone? Although the title was entitled about the dog, but she has also cases on cats. And this I already mentioned earlier. The critical uh, part of a life of an individual is moving. Okay, so be it a change in career, or like marrying somebody else that lives on the other part of the world, so moving. So and there are several other cases why pets and cats would get lost, and this was mentioned here. So I'm not going to give more details about this because I have mentioned that earlier. Number 11, what the butler saw. Okay, so the butler here is your pet. So she's saying that your don't you experience like when you like go to the comfort room and then your cat follows you and then will just stare at you blankly when you're naked taking a shower or you're doing your own thing. So they want,
So creepy.
yeah, they want to be part of everything that you do, and then they enjoy looking at you, and then they know everything. Okay, so they know everything what's happening in the household. And the funny part is they tell the other neighbors' pets about what's happening in your household.
Chismosa?
Yeah. So they like gossiping. They're really talkative. Okay. So be it like bad things or secret things or like or funny things. So when they're in good terms with the neighbors' pets, they would really tell stories about you. I think they boast around, like, oh, my pet parents love me so much. They give me this, they give me that. They also do that. They also communicate to that. But other things, they also say funny things. So when it's really weird, because like learning about that. So be careful. Like if you don't want your cat telling on you, like if you have this weird thing, and then so be careful. Maybe you want to put the curtain on or whatever to screen yourself or like to protect yourself from your cat seeing you, whatever. Because you will never know that your cat would tell the other pets, and the pets would be able to communicate with the person, and then of course the person would know your secret then. Okay.
I
So, but it's
wonder.
funny. It's really funny, but it's really true that they really do gossip, and that's, if you can remember, that's how the young Sonya was able to know, even at a young age, what's happening all over the village, because it's how the village animals would tell her. Yes, you have a question?
So I was wondering if Sonia was um, called to solve a mystery or a murder case. That the only witness was a pet, was an animal, a dog or a cat, right?
Actually, in this book, she didn't mention something to that effect or like something that deep, like a super mystery case. But she mentioned something about a very uh, it's also an incident in the village, something like that, but not to the criminal case. But I also thought about that maybe her services can be used in solving criminal
Yeah,
cases.
yeah.
I thought about that, but it was not particularly mentioned in this book. Okay, but she has some stories that she was able to solve a simple mystery. Okay, at least that's that.
But before that, we have a comment from Ate Star. Thank you, Ate Star. So, she said, pinanood ko yung last session nyo as in tinapos ko. Hehehe. Cause lately, si Kuya Alex, si Kuya Alex,
Is our cousin-in-law.
si Kuya Alex nyo, pag may nakikitang kitten sa labas, as in, sa kalsada, kinukuha niya at binibigyan niya agad food na parang pang-adult na cat na. But then, shinare ko sa kanya about how to feed the baby cat. Nice. Sobrang tinandaan ko yung mga natutunan ko sa live nyo. Ay, thank you, Ate Star.
Very thankful.
At ina-apply na namin ngayon. Thanks to Puss and Boots. Sayang di ko naumpisahan pero panoorin ko na lang ulit para maumpisahan namin. Yes. Just watch the replay kung hindi nyo naumpisahan. And also, still leave your comments, share your stories if you have similar stories na na-share ni Doc Maying. So feel free to comment in the comment section. So para mabasa pa rin namin, and we'll share our stories also after the session. So continue.
Okay. And now chapter 12 entitled If I Could Talk to the Animals. Yes, you can. Okay, and she mentioned like detailed instructions on how you can do it yourself. So it's like a self-help book, okay, to communicate with your animals. So it's very wonderful. It's a gift that you can also acquire, but it's a skill, like a skill. You have to practice it to master it. So just how she is now, she's a practical master of animal communicating. So she said mental telepathy, when animals communicate, this is all animals. So be it wild animals, be it snakes, be it whales, be it like whatever animal, be it spiders, okay, insects, whatever. So they communicate through pictures and energy. And you can try it at home. Yes, you can try it right now if you have your cat in front of you. And she said that you only give mental pictures of what your cat should do, not what she shouldn't. Like if you don't want her to be soiling the carpet, so don't give her a mental picture that she's soiling a carpet. Okay, so what you have to give her is she's using her litter box. Okay, so you only give her the correct images. Okay, and then so that's
images through your mind.
Yes, your mind.
Oh,
It's your mind, and it you can also do it like you're verbally saying it while you're thinking about it. Okay, so and then she has this like practical guide, like step-by-step guide, how you go about with what I just said, and then you just practice it. Okay, so I will not give more details on that, so not to sell it out to you, this chapter. So then we go to number 13, House and Whispers. Subtitle is Communicating with Wild Animals. So yes, she has been called upon to communicate with wild animals as well. And there was this particular case she had. She communicated with raccoons because there was this family. At first, it was a female. Then male intruders came in because they're trying to court the female raccoon. Then finally, they had a family. So the raccoon invaded the home of one of her friends. And then so she communicated with the raccoon to leave the house and then etc. And then the raccoon would tell her, my habitat has been destroyed, so where else do I go? It's already winter. I need someplace warm. So and then so she injected the importance of not really destroying the animal's habitat, because you cannot really blame them if they go through our homes. So here in the Philippines, this is not much of a concern for us, but for other countries, sometimes they have villages that's really beside the forest, and so they would have like wild animals visit their homes and destroy some of their properties, and then they would contact animal control or pest control. That's like just sad, because first you have to look into the deeper picture, the deeper problem, and sometimes it really involves loss of their habitat. That's why they're looking for food in your home instead of getting it from the forest, because their homes have already been destroyed. So that's really sad. It's a reality that's sad, that we really have to also consider and act upon on. And so that's about on the wild animals. And so basically she said, let me repeat that even the wild animals communicate the same way as with the domestic animals. So all animals have this same communication procedure, like strategy or like method. Okay, so once you learn communicating with the animals or like with the pets, then you can also communicate with the animals. So she was able to teach one of her friends on mental telepathy, communicating with the animals. So her friend herself was then communicating with the raccoons that invaded her home. Okay, so it's really nice that she also was able to share her gift to others. And for as long as you're willing and you're willing to practice, and you can get better at it. Okay, and then the last chapter, okay, is on fond farewells. So it's the subtitle is How to Cope When a Beloved Pet Dies. So it's really very sad, and it's death is one part of life that we have to accept, and it's inevitable. So for even for pets, and she said something that I never knew before, and she said that sometimes pets, even if they're already dying, they would still hang on if their parents are not ready to let them go. And that's something new to me. And she also said that pets are not afraid of death. Only humans are afraid of death, because for them death is happiness, because it may be the end of their suffering, end of their pain. So it's really up to the parent. And then so in this book she said some stories, she mentioned some stories on how she communicated with a near to death animal, and then basically she said, the pet said, that to help the parent let go of her, so she can already move on and pass over. Okay, and she mentioned here, if you, I'm sure for all the cat lovers, pet lovers there, we have this rainbow bridge where they cross over to, and she particularly didn't really say the rainbow bridge, but it was a golden, like shiny thing with water, like a falls, that they really do cross over to get to pass over. Okay, so if you get that, so the rainbow bridge concept is not entirely like fictional, it's really true. And then they really have to pass over that like bridge to really go to the other side. And then they have, the pet can decide if they would want to go back to earth or to stay there when they pass over. But rarely do the animals choose to go back. Rarely, but it happens. So they can choose to go back in another form, especially if they get so attached with their parent and they want to be with their parent again. So they come in a different form, like in a puppy, like in another animal form, usually in another animal form. Okay. And there's an epilogue here, and basically she said like she encouraged everyone to do something, and she mentioned a particular case that she said she did something about the carriage horses in New York City in Central Park, working in Central Park, to help them like have a better living conditions and having shorter working hours so they would not get overworked and fatigue in their daily life. Okay, and then so she mentioned the different organizations that you can get involved with and to help the animals and basically encourage everybody to really help, and there's so much to do and really we can make a difference even in our simple ways. So that's it. So thank you very much for staying all throughout our book review discussion session. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. And so this is it. Okay, so this is Sonya Fitzpatrick. If I failed to mention earlier, she's already 79 years old, but she's still very active. She's up and about, and this was one of her dog. This was Bella. I believe this is Bella. So she already crossed over, and she's Rhodesian Ridgeback, and she's one of her first love. Okay, so in her, this is actually an old picture of Sonya. If you will look into her videos right now, as she has a longer hair now, and yeah, but still very active. So thank you so much. That's about it. If you have other comments, please do leave them in our comment section. And we hope to see you in our next session. Anything more?
No, just wanted to remind everyone, we don't have the schedule yet, but next session we'll have the TNR discussion. So discussion about trap, neuter, and release. Okay. And we have, so once again, thank you for joining us. Ate Star, thank you again. Julie,
Yes,
thanks for joining. Frances, we have Abigail, Gemma, Yai, Ian, Chris, and Carlo. And I think...
So I'm happy to know that we have male viewers this time. Thank you so much for leaving your comments and joining us for tonight's session.
Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the book reviews. If so, let us know. If you want Talk Maying to review other books again, and we'll have another Facebook Live. We have actually a lot of
Yes,
books.
we have a lot of so basically we're going to read the books that I currently have. Okay, so, and this is the first one. So I don't have my next prospect book yet, so I will look into it. But basically, it's a light book, meaning it's not difficult to read. Okay, so about cats. Okay.
Yep. So, again. So, Ate Star, sabi niya, yes, shout out daw sila Bea, JC, and Miguel. Hello, Bea, JC, Tokayo, and Miguel, our cousins. And of course, Kuya Alex pala. Kuya Alex, good luck sa
nephew and
our nephew.
Our cousins. Yes, Ate Star and Kuya Alex. Okay. Lumusot ka doon. Okay.
Ano kami ni La Bea, ano kami ni Bea, saka ni JC, saka ni Miguel. Okay, so Kuya Alex, good luck on Monday election.
Upcoming elections?
Yep. He's running for councilor. Tama ba? Yes. Kuya Alex, good luck. We're all watching you now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think overtime na kayo masyado.
Yes.
Okay.
Bye.
Next session ulit. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Good night.
Night.